in all of the books they'll talk about the struggles of over risking, whereas for me it was the complete opposite. I struggled with under risking. I wouldn't risk enough, gain much on my funded account, and I think that's why it took me so long to sort of pass it. I'd actually I shared my whole journey on my social medias and stuff. I think a lot of people who follow me could not comprehend the fact that I'd been on the same evaluation for 4 months. After spending 4 months on this same eval and just watching it go into profit, back into loss, break even, up again, passing that moment was just unreal.
Welcome back to Profit Playbook. This is a podcast where we're going to be speaking to people about trading, their experiences trading, how they overcame certain situations. And so super excited today to start it off with Claudia Trades, who is a futures trader who's been trading for a little bit now. And super excited because today we're going to dive into your journey, Claudia, and hopefully through that process, it'll help other people that are on their journey. And I just want to start it off by saying congrats, because I know you recently got funded, and that's just
thank you.
Accomplishment. So congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So let's get started a little bit with your background and how you got started into trading, and what was kind of that moment, or was there a moment that got you involved that you're like, damn, I have to do this?
So, funnily enough, the way I kind of discovered trading is I love watching billionaires' morning routines, productive people. I love watching that stuff, and I ended up stumbling across, I have no idea who it was now, but I ended up stumbling across some traders' morning routine, and I was like, oh, what is this that they're doing? They're making loads of money. So ended up going down the loophole, buying some £60 beginners Forex course, which taught me what a candle was, and that's about it. And then I just got super into it. And someone I know personally trades ICT, so they put me onto ICT, watched his 2022 mentorship, and then have just stuck with ICT ever since. So yeah.
Amazing. And what a good start that is, because so I've been trading for 7 years, and through that process, I mean, this was before kind of the big push on socials and all the access to information. So we were jumping from course to course from things that really didn't make sense. So starting off with ICT, I just feel is just such a great starting point, really, because you're getting some really high quality information there. But that's awesome. And the morning routine stuff is hilarious. I agree. That's the most motivating stuff. You're trying to get better and you're trying to improve, and so you just look at people that have done well and you look at their morning routine. So I love that. I think that's awesome. And are you studying, or are you in school, or were you in school at the time when you were learning the trade?
Yeah, so when I first started learning, I was at university studying chemical engineering, but I ended up doing a year of that and then dropping out because I'd received an offer to do a degree apprenticeship, which is basically a UK type scheme. I don't know whether you guys have them out there, but it's basically where you work full time. So I do electromechanical engineering as a full-time job, and then they pay for you to do your degree within working hours as well. So awesome. That's what I'm doing at the moment.
Awesome. And do you think that in the future, that's something that you want to continue doing as well with trading, and keep it kind of as a trading as kind of an additional income stream? Or is it more something that you're like, nah, I'm done with that, I want to just go all in on trading?
I'd say I'm not in a rush to go full-time trading, but as a long-term sort of goal, it's definitely something that I'm working towards. But I'm going into my 3rd year of my 5-year degree course, so I think once I've completed that, it's something I could kind of reflect on and see where I want to go. But it just depends how I get on, really. I mean, I've only just got past my first funded, so I'm not in any sort of rush.
I love it. And I think that's actually such a great place to be. I think ultimately one issue that a lot of people have, and I think I had myself as well, was just going all in and saying this has to work and I will do anything in my power to make it happen, and then trying to put all effort in and stressing because there's all these ups and downs. And then at the same time, you're putting so much pressure that's unnecessary on yourself, when in trading, it should really just be kind of, you collect your data, you learn, you slowly take steps forward, you be patient, and trying to rush it and trying to go full time and try to make that, everything that you do, it's a lot of stress, and trading is stressful in and of itself. So I think you're doing it right. I think you're definitely on the right path. And so when did you start trading? Like, how long have you been kind of in that process?
So I started studying ICT probably around 2 years ago. It took me a while to get through all of the content because obviously I was working full time, so I was just doing it in whatever spare time I had. But actually, like placing my first trade on like a prop firm eval or whatever, that was only the start of this year. So I'm still pretty new to it. It took me a while to build up the courage to actually take an evaluation. Like I was on demo for like 6 months, and I think it's actually an interesting point, the difference between women's and men's trading journeys, because I feel like men are way more open to just jump right in, take an eval, blow it like they don't care. But for me, I think I actually spend too much time on demo trading, which is kind of unheard of. But yeah, I think it took me way too long to just give it a go, because the lessons you learn from live trading are just invaluable and you can't learn them from demo. So
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a different quality to the feeling that you get from it. That's just, even if it's like, I remember when I first put on a trade and it was like 0.01 lots on in Forex. It was my first trade ever, and like just panicking and just seeing like a dollar going up and down, and I was like, "Oh
yeah.
my God, what's going on?" So I agree. But I think again, like it sounds like you're just doing everything right, and the opposite actually of how I did it, which I think is super, which is great, because that process again is finding that repetitive and consistent process and routine that you're doing in order to extract money from the market, and doing that in a low stress environment, I think is the most important place to start. Because I mean, if you're just trying to think about money, it's just you're going to be thinking and making decisions to make money, which in reality you should just be making decisions that are based off of your process, right? So
Yeah.
I think that you're doing a great start and a great job. And again, you passed the eval, so that's pretty awesome. And how did that feel though? The first one, it's a big accomplishment.
Honestly, it felt amazing. So I'd actually like I shared my whole journey on my social medias and stuff, and obviously women's brains and men's brains work so differently. So I think a lot of people who follow me could not comprehend the fact that I'd been on the same evaluation for 4 months. So like after spending 4 months on this same eval and just watching it go like into profit, back into loss, break even, up again, like passing that moment was just unreal. And I actually posted a little short of me passing my eval because I decided to record it because I thought it'd be a fun moment. And yeah, it's just it was an unreal moment. I went on a little nighttime drive after and like
I
blasted
love it.
music and stuff.
I love it. That's awesome. No, again, huge congrats.
Thank you.
It's crazy to put in all the effort and like not really see the light of day until, months or years after. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's awesome to see that you did it. And so do you have any thoughts of a Lambo or anything like that, or is it you're just focused on executing the trades and going from there? Is there any goals that you have from trading that you want to get out of it?
I think right now, so I've been live streaming once a week on my YouTube channel, trading. And I think just like tracking my journey on there, I've really enjoyed doing. So I think kind of showing the full process from just passing my funded to building up my buffer, which is what I'm in the middle of doing now. And then taking payouts. I mean, a first payout is obviously like a huge goal, which I'd like to reach, whenever it comes. Obviously the idea of like a rose gold Porsche 911 is in the back of my mind somewhere, but I'm not in any
Sounds like
rush.
it sounds like you've never thought about it. No, not even once.
No, never.
That's hilarious. No, that's awesome, seriously. And it's good. It's good I think it's important to have those goals, and obviously got into trading because you wanted to make money, and I think that's what anyone gets into trading for. But so it's good to have those goals. It's just making sure that you're at that equilibrium and you're at a balance, and you're not letting, you're not clicking a trade and seeing those images of the Porsche in your head as the trade is going up, and then it goes back and you start getting emotional, right? It's just kind of maintaining that equilibrium. That's really important. But
Yeah, for sure. And it's something that I've told a lot of beginner traders who are in my Discord, which is something that I didn't even know would benefit me, but just happened to because of the position I'm in. I think having a stable job while you're learning to trade is so unbelievably important, because if I was trying to pay bills and rent and things like that from my trading profits, I would have spent way more money on evaluations than I have done. And in fact, I've only blown one eval before the one I passed, so I've spent literally no money at all on evaluations, while having a job as well. So I think that's something that's really important and should be kind of like said a bit more on social media, because everyone wants to tell you like just go full on trading, put all your hours into it, and all this like hustle culture around it, when actually having a stable job and learning trading alongside is probably the best route to go about it.
1,000% agree. If I could go back in time and do trading and learn trading all over again, it would have been through that. It would have been having income on the side, or having an income as my full job story, my full-time job, and
Yeah.
then using that to fund my practice and work on improving, and not focusing so much on saying I need to make X amount of dollars this month, or else, I'm going to be eating nothing. Like that's the ideal way to do it. And I want to dive into that a little bit more, because you're right. I don't think it's talked about enough, but have you found any kind of difficulties with that balance? Obviously, if you're working 8 hours a day, that's typically going to be during the trading hours. So how is it that you manage that?
So as I've already said, I was super into these productive morning routines, and I've obviously taken something from them along the way. So my usual day-to-day routine is pretty jam-packed, but I've managed to sort of balance it in a way where I can fit everything in without burnout. So I'll wake up at 5 a.m., do like my usual morning routine, all my girly bits and bobs, skincare, makeup, whatever. And then I will do like a meditation session, a journaling session just for me, not anything related to trading. And I'll do some yoga and reading as well before I head to work for 7 a.m. And then I'll work from 7 a.m. till 3:30 p.m. Come home, like have a little chill out, maybe film some content, and then I will trade PM session so that I can be fully on the charts and focused. Because AM session for me is 2:30 p.m. so it's like bang on in the middle of my working day. And I've seen loads of people on social media like, oh, I'm hitting a trade in my work bathrooms, and honestly, like the amount of pressure and stress you'd be under, I couldn't do it. So I decided to find myself a model that works for me at a time that works best for me as well, which I think is really important as a beginner.
1,000%. So you're just trading PM session.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and I love that, because I agree. I think like the idea of one, being focused in trading and making sure that you're executing properly is like, it should not be overlooked. It's not something that you just, despite what social media says, you don't just pull up your phone and enter a trade and just walk away, and then now all of a sudden you have an extra $100,000 that you made while you were, taking a walk. Like, you have to be dialed in, especially when it's you're risking real capital, right? And so,
Yeah.
and I find a lot of people have difficulty, and even myself. I mean, obviously, we started FX Replay, 3 years ago, and now we have, dozens of employees, and it's a lot of work that's being put in, and the trading just is not a thing anymore for me. Like, it's not something that I do all the time, because it's hard to balance it. And
Yeah.
I tried it before while working, and then also having a call and then having a trade up. It's just too much. And so I
Yeah.
agree. I think you have to be 1,000% focused on your trading, and you have to give yourself that time to do it, or else it just doesn't work. So I love the idea of having your session and creating your system that operates around your schedule. I think that's incredibly important. And yeah, no, I think you're doing a great job with it. And is there any kind of advice that you would give for someone that's kind of just getting started and they have a job and they don't know how to balance it? Like, would you recommend finding a model that fits, I don't know, the time frames that they're focused on, or the schedule that they're focused on, and kind of how they would go about that?
1,000%. I think the main thing to focus on before even thinking about when you're going to trade in the day is your trading is not going to be successful if every other thing in your life is not organized. If you're going into the charts with thoughts of, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've still got to tidy this, like I've got to go here and here, like your brain is not clear enough to see those charts how you want to see them. So I think before even considering like going into live trading as a beginner who's working a full-time job, organize the rest of your life, make that space where you have time to look at the charts when it's convenient. Obviously, you don't really want to be trading like lunch session or something, but like people are profitable trading Asia, London, AM and PM session. So there's loads of time within the day which you can dedicate to trading. It's just organizing the rest of your life around that so that you're not coming into the charts thinking, I'm so stressed, like I don't have the time to do this. So, like full daily routine is so important, I think, when you're working a full-time job, and being disciplined with it and sticking to it.
Yeah, I agree. And there's also multiple variables that you can adjust that fit your schedule. Like like you said, you could trade a, a variety of different sessions, whether it be London, New York, Asia. Okay, if you're trading, if you can only trade in Asia, well then you can, the variable there is you could select an asset that moves in Asia. AUD JPY, for example, and on the Forex side is one that moves in Asia. You can trade like the HK33 or whatever the future equivalent is. Like all those things you can adjust and you can trade in the sessions that you want. So I think that's really important. And I think people get caught up almost on, oh, this is what this person is doing, and this is oh, they're trading ES, and I have to trade ES, and it's like you don't have to. Like there's other options for you.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, if it fits your life, you just have to study that and practice that one thing and see how it moves and learn it intimately, right? That's a big part about it. So I'm curious, getting into that now, is how you backtest with FX Replay. That's how we know each other. That's how we came in contact. How
Yeah.
did you start practicing before FX Replay, or like when you started learning the 2022 model? Like what did your practice look like?
Honestly, for the first like probably 6 to 9 months of me learning, I was just like religiously studying his concepts and making like handwritten notes for some reason. I don't know why, I'm a bit of a grandma. Because lots of people have asked me like, can I have your ICT notes? And I'm like, I can send you pictures of my full notebook, but I don't have them on any sort of digital software for some reason. So I was literally just religiously making notes from his YouTube channel, understanding the concepts, and I think not rushing the learning stage is so important, because obviously when you've got that like initial motivation, like, oh, I want to be a trader, the studying part is not the part that you want to do. You want to get in and you want to execute straight away. So I'm happy that I didn't rush into it. When I had that like sudden burst of motivation, like, oh, I really just want to place a trade, I would demo trade on TradingView live, and I would like get into the routine of trading live every day on demo, so that it's just as if I was trading a live account. And I just studied his concepts for like 6 to 9 months. And then before you guys even reached out to me, I was using the free version of FX Replay, which honestly did benefit me a lot. So yeah, I was already using it, but that was like probably at the year stage where I started using FX Replay and felt confident enough to kind of actually figure out a model for myself, which I think is probably the hardest part of the learning stage, is working out a model that suits your trading personality.
Totally, because you can learn something that someone does, but we all have different eyes and a different way of seeing things, and you really have to find that kind of thing that fits for you, that you're like, oh wow, I recognize this consistently, and I'm confident in this, and so on and so forth. And I guess that's where, one of the reasons why we made FX Replay was initially was getting that those iterations in and finding that thing that works for you. And so if you could explain your model in, under a minute, what would it look like or sound like?
Oh, okay. Well, I actually have a checklist on a post-it note at the side of my monitor for me
Perfect.
to go through. So my model is obviously ICT concepts, as I've said. I predominantly trade NQ, but I trade ES on the odd occasion, depending on whether there's some higher time frame SMT in there. So that's one of the first things that I will look for when I go into the charts. I'll like determine my daily bias, and then I will see whether we have any sort of higher time frame SMT. And if there is, then I will choose which asset is in line with the daily bias that I've determined. So once I've done that, I know which asset I'm going to want to be taking a position on. So I'll do my chart analysis on that particular asset. And then I will probably drop down to like the hour chart, and I will draw out any key PD arrays that I think are there, like fair value gaps, and I will see whether we're rejecting from any sort of higher time frame PD array. And if we're not, I will literally just turn my charts off. Like, that's it. Like, that is one of the main like key things for me as part of my model. If we're rejecting from some sort of key PD array that is in line with my daily bias, like, I'm going to look for an entry. So then I'll drop down to probably like the 15-minute, 5-minute chart, have a look where we are, and I'll draw out the quadrants of the range, and I will make sure that we are, like, if I'm bullish, I want to be in a discount, and if we're bearish, I want to be in a premium. And if we're not quite there yet, I will just sit and watch my charts, do other things until we get there. If we don't get there, I don't take a position. So if I'm bullish, we've reached a discount, I will then look for some sort of manipulation leg. So in the opposing direction. So if I'm bullish, I'd be looking for a manipulation leg which heads downwards. And I look for some sort of lower time frame SMT to be put in there as well. So for example, if we're heading downwards in a manipulation leg, we take out some sort of like AM low, ES doesn't take it, something like that. Once that lower time frame SMT has been put in through my backtesting with FX Replay, I've noticed that once that lower time frame SMT is there, it's usually a signal for some sort of reversal. So that's what I trade. I tend to trade reversals off a lower time frame manipulation leg. So then my entry criteria after that is I'll enter off an inversion fair value gap from the manipulation leg, along with a change in the state of delivery, and then I will target like internal range liquidity. But if there's a super clear higher time frame draw that's in close proximity, I'll target that as well. But I've found because I'm trading PM session, there's not as much volatility, so targeting internal range liquidity is probably the best bet unless there's something close by. So
Love it. Love it. No, that's super informative, and I think a lot of people can use that model and go and test it themselves and see if it works for them. But I love that. I think that's really good. And obviously, you have it all set up accordingly, and you know exactly what you're looking for, and you've put in the reps, so you could clearly see that. That's awesome. And I wanted to ask, because as you were going through it, I'm like, well, it takes a lot of discipline to sit through and wait for these things to kind of play out. And if they're not there, having the discipline to, like you said, just leave, not say, yeah, I'm going to sit on and wait for something, even though it doesn't follow your plan. So what are some things that have helped you with your discipline? Would you consider yourself just like an innately disciplined person and you're just kind of, that's just how it is? Or this is something that you had to work at and something that you had to learn, and you've made the mistakes, and you've stayed on the chart for too long and made some mistakes. So you learn from that. So what does that look like for you?
So definitely not just like a genetically disciplined person, 100% not. I've had to sort of teach myself this over the years. I honestly think my pre-market routine is something that has helped me so much, and is probably what helped me pass my funded account in the first place, because I was just at the break-even stage for like 3 months on the same eval. And I honestly think this is probably one of the like factors which helped me pass my account. So pre-market routine for me involves a couple of things which I've not heard people mention, but one of the main things for me was if I drank a lot of caffeine throughout the day, my trading performance was worse than if I hadn't. So something that I've been implementing is if I've had coffee at work and stuff, like I'm up since 5 a.m, I deserve a little coffee at work. So I'm not saying completely cut out caffeine altogether, but something that I take before trading is L-theanine, which actually sort of like balances out the jittery like the jitteriness that caffeine gives you, and it calms you completely down. So I'll take one of those if I've had caffeine throughout the day before trading. And I will also do a little meditation session so that I'm coming into those charts, my like actual body is relaxed and my mind is also relaxed as well.
Love it. I think honestly that the preparation process is one of the most overlooked things in the world. It's something that
Yeah, for sure.
it really impacted my trading. It's something that I'm working with a couple guys on FX Replay. So basically we have a bunch of traders on our team, and one of the things that we do is we meet up on Thursdays, a couple of us individually, and kind of review and hold each other accountable. And one of the things that we've really been working on with one person in particular is that preparation process and like what works for you. And for me, one of the things that I told him that I absolutely love to do is looking through case studies of your A+ setups. Like what's step one? Like what's the first chart that you look at, and then what's step two, and then step three, and you get into this process oriented state, and you start to look at what is supposed to happen on the daily time frame. What is supposed to happen on the hourly, and then it goes from there. And so then you kind of prime your mind ahead of time to say, this is exactly the sequence and flow and things I need to happen on each time frame for me to engage. And it kind of primes your mind ahead of time. So then when you get on the chart, you're looking exactly for those things and those things only. You're not just waking up, rolling out of bed and just looking at the charts. And I think that for me has helped hugely, and even for this trader as well on our team. But I think like the meditation side of things, the calming the mind, it can be, like you said there, if you notice that, hey, I had an awful sleep, or I had too much caffeine, or maybe I didn't go to the gym, all those different things, depending on that individual, could be something that impacts them. And it's something that is important to track, and it's important to understand yourself at a deep level, so you can understand how you think and how you operate, so then you can do it effectively and efficiently, right, when it comes down to it. So super fired up that you said that, because I think it's super important.
For sure.
And in a preparation process, like how did you discover yours? And do you have any advice for anyone that's kind of maybe is trying to, but doesn't know what to include into their preparation routine?
I think a way to determine the key preparation routine for you is, obviously everyone tells you to journal your trades, but something that I notice is no one tells you what to do with these journal entries. So I've been incorporating, I'll give myself 5-10 minutes to read through like the previous week's journal entries. And that's something that I never used to do. And I honestly don't know why, because that's what they're there for. They're there to teach you lessons, but just typing them in the moment while you're emotional, probably not a lot's going in. It's great to get it off your mind, but it's probably not actually seeking into your subconscious. So I've been rereading journal entries so that I can see, oh, this is where I went wrong, this is where I went wrong. And you start to spot those patterns of what you're doing wrong, and then you can find solutions to incorporate into your pre-market routine. So for me, I found had a lot of caffeine, felt really jittery and anxious, struggled to take entries because I just wouldn't feel the confidence because I felt super anxious. So limiting caffeine or finding a solution if I'd had caffeine was something that really helped me. So I think it's just determining where you're going wrong, finding a solution and incorporating it before you come onto the charts.
Totally. And like you said, you don't have to know it ahead of time, and you won't. And there's no point in stressing over that, because what I found as well is that, like, ultimately you can try to predict things, and you can try to, you get so caught up in trying to know things before they're available to you in the form of data. And so if you just write, and if you just note things, and then, like you said, you review them afterwards, and you start to see, oh wow, I noticed these patterns. Okay, these are things that I need to adjust for. And then that's the data that you need. But instead of trying to predict it and saying, oh, what is the best routine that I could ever have, and you try and do all this research and you stress out about it, it's like, just start moving
Yeah.
forward, taking some notes about how you're feeling, what you're going through, what you're experiencing. And you're going to notice things if you go back and look at that data. And it's something that's super important that you have to go look back at it, because like you said, I think that there's an obsession of journaling. Like, I think that people are, there's always people that talk about, oh, I journal, but there's that review process that's really important. And it sucks to look back at your trades or at your decisions that you made that were bad decisions. And
Yeah.
that's, I think, a hindrance for a lot of people. They look at that and they're like, I don't want to even look at that journal again. It was just such a bad day. I lost so much, and I did such stupid stuff that I don't even want to look at it. But those are the most important things to, drop the ego, go back and look and see, hey, I made these mistakes and I'm making them repeatedly, and therefore I need processes to stop making these mistakes. And if I can do that and do that, one mistake at a time, then over time you'll be moving in the right direction, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I love what you said about holding each other accountable, because I've actually found my trading psychology while I'm on a live stream is a lot better than when I'm trading alone. And that's not me suggesting that everyone should start live streaming their trades on YouTube. I know it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to do that. However, something that is so important to do before taking an entry is to ask yourself, would I be happy with myself if this trade lost? And if the answer is no, I wouldn't. I would say I shouldn't have taken that. You shouldn't be taking the trade. Whereas if I'm in an A plus setup, everything from my checklist has presented itself. If I take a loss, I'm happy with myself. So that's a great question to ask yourself before entering a trade. Hold yourself accountable. Would I be happy if this lost?
Yeah, and the idea of having eyes on you while you're making those decisions can, I mean, I think it's a great thing. And even if people aren't going to live stream, I think you should ask yourself that and say, if there were 5 people behind me right now and they knew exactly what I was doing, they knew exactly my strategy, like, how would I act? How would I take this trade? Is this something that I would take? And if not, then that's probably a good decision to not take it, right?
Yeah.
And not get caught up. And I think it's a really good kind of practice to, even if you're not going to stream, to do that. And I actually want to dive into the community side of things, because I think it's also very important. Like, did you find that you started? I don't know where you started, but I believe it was TikTok, because that's where we saw you.
Yeah.
But did you start on TikTok, and then also, what was that kind of experience like, of putting yourself out there a little bit and showing that, hey, you're on this journey of trading? And did you get that kind of support, and did you feel like you met some good people in this space, and people that had were like-minded, and that you could push with?
I think in terms of starting TikTok, what I would say is this is so hypocritical from me, but don't post your trades as a beginner on social media as a whole. I think because you can't control who can view your content or who can't, unless you're posting on a private account where you know exactly who's viewing it, there's going to be opinions that you don't like. And that's the sacrifice you make if you post on social media. You're basically saying, give me your opinion, like I'm happy to take it. And I feel like some people don't accept that responsibility before posting on social media, and then they get a kind of shock, which is exactly what I got when I first started posting on TikTok. I got a lot of different comments. Obviously there was ones to do with the fact that I'm a female. I was a beginner, so everyone thinks that I'm like online trying to promote affiliates, whatever, which that's not what I was doing. I just wanted to post my journey. But everyone, like, no one trusts you yet. You get a lot of backlash, and that knocked my confidence a lot. However, posting my trades in my Discord community where I can control who is in that community, if anyone comes across as sort of passive aggressive, patronizing, just like overall mean, like they'll get banned, and I have control over that. Whereas social media, you don't have that certain control on who you want to see these trades and who you don't. Like, I don't want someone to say, oh, like you should have done this, like in the moment. I want them to give me constructive criticism. Here's what you did wrong. Maybe do this in the future. And that's exactly what I get from a Discord community where you can control that environment. You put rules on when people join so they know exactly like what's okay, what isn't. And so far my Discord community has like 850 members now, and it's such a great community for people to post. Like, I can post my losses in there with no worries at all. I will like type a little message on why I think I lost. People are so supportive. They'll give me some constructive criticism and we move on. Like, that's it. So I think having a community where you can control who can view your trades is great, but posting it on social media as a beginner is something I regret. And I think my trading journey could have progressed a little faster if I hadn't done that.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. Um, I think all of us fall into the same thing, especially nowadays. It's like you want to almost share your journey, and also like it's exciting. It's exciting to post things out there and into the world, and on socials, especially, in the trading space. You take a trade and it does well or it doesn't do well or whatever, and you can share these things, and it's just exciting to do that and kind of share it out with the world. But at the same time, like you said, you're opening yourself up to criticism, and ultimately this is a mental game, and this is a game that you need to be super super locked in, and it's just you at the end of the day. And so
Yeah.
if you're putting things out there and it's hindering how you feel, or it's impacting how you feel, and it's hurting you, I think it's just not a good place to be. But having your own community, and I had my own community as well, and I thought that it was really incredible. You filter the people that come in, making sure
Yeah.
that it's people that are like-minded, that are willing to learn, that are there for the same reason. They just wanted to have a kind of learning path with people and grow with others, and that's it, right? I mean, that's ultimately the big key, and I think it's super super important to have that, especially it's a lonely geez, sorry, it's a lonely journey, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just you at the end of the day, so it's nice to share that with people.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, in person, it's so difficult to find like-minded individuals, especially ones who trade as well. In fact, it's like super rare for me to bump into someone personally who I know who is a trader and knows all about it and who I can chat to about it. So having that community online kind of helps snap you back into reality as well, because it's very easy to get lost in the TikTok algorithm of seeing people posting these like 1 to 50R trades with their Lambo, their Porsche, etc. And that's great for that initial motivation to help you start trading, but it's not great when you're trying to stay disciplined and you're trying to stick to your plan, even though you're not seeing much progress at the moment. That kind of puts you in a position where you're like, why am I not where I should be yet? But whereas if you're in a community where everyone's in the same boat, I have lots of beginners in my community as well, so it's really nice to kind of share ideas, different psychology troubles we've come into. We'll share like learning resources with each other, so we know we're all in the same boat. We're not behind where we should be. We're exactly where we want to be. We're just progressing, and we
Exactly.
can share it with everyone else.
It's just compounded learning when you do it with
Yeah.
people. It's someone learns something that you probably wouldn't have found out. They share that. Oh wow, now you have that knowledge, and then you learn something and you share it, and you do that with, now you have it with your community of 800 people. Like, it's compound learning. It's really a great way to learn. You just have to make sure that the people that are inside that are great. And I love what you said there, because I agree fully that it's great for motivation at the beginning. It's great to see that and say, "Oh my God, I'm capable of this. Like this is something that I could do." And it kind of opens up your mind to what else is out there in the world. Again, even if it's just people that are lying and trying to scam, like it's true. Like in trading, you can make a ton of money. And so
Yeah.
it gets you that motivation. But when it gets to a point where you're on social media and you took a loss that day or you took a small win that day, and then you go on social media to compare and say, oh, this guy took a 10-1 trade or whatever, and then you start disliking yourself or feeling bad about your performance comparatively, like that's where it starts to get detrimental. And I think that it's just not a good place to be. It's much better to focus your attention on your trading, and again, spending that time, instead of looking at that, reviewing your trades and your journals and reviewing and back testing and making sure that you're doing the right things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so a couple other questions that I had were, you know, how has backtesting, specifically on FX Replay, how has that kind of changed your model, and how has that changed your kind of psychology to say, this was something that you were studying from ICT's videos, to it being like, wow, this is an actual model that I feel comfortable with executing.
So with FX Replay, I feel like people kind of underestimate the amount of different ways you can use it to benefit you. So there's 3 different ways where I will use FX Replay to benefit my trading. The first one being, you can actually use it not to just backtest a model, you can use it to help you develop a model. So when I initially came into FX Replay, I had an idea in my head of what model I wanted to use. But so I just went into the charts. I'd take trades wherever I thought the model was there. I was not bothered about the P&L on the account whatsoever. This was my place to make a model. It wasn't me collecting any sort of data. And as I went through, I would note things down like, oh, if we have lower time frame SMT, then we tend to reject. And that's something that I learned from backtesting without worrying about the P&L and just going through. I also think that FX Replay can be really useful for when someone is going through analysis paralysis, people like to call it on social media, where you've taken a few losses and your insight for the charts is just not there. You're not viewing them clearly whatsoever. You're seeing setups where they're not presenting themselves. You just can't see the charts as clearly as you used to be. And you feel like your progress is almost like going backwards when it's actually not. You're just going through a little stage of a little blip of psychology problems. And actually, when I'm going through that, I'll go into FX Replay, and instead of placing any sort of positions, so there's no wins or losses involved, I will just use the long or short tool from TradingView, and I will place that where my model has presented itself. So I am reprogramming my subconscious to recognize my model again, and this will kind of ease yourself back into being able to see the charts with clarity, because the more time you see your model, the easier it's going to be to spot in real time. So rather than just using it to backtest and getting disheartened when you lose 3 trades in a row, because people are still emotional even when backtesting, funnily enough, you can actually use it to recover yourself from a loss streak and help yourself spot your model again and view your charts again with clarity. So
I love that. And it's so funny that you say that about the emotions even while backtesting, because it's true. Like when you lose 7 trades in a row in backtesting, like you still feel like, man, like what's going on? I agree, and I think that you're right that there are different ways to do it. There's studying price, and there's building out that model. There's actual back trading, sometimes we say it as back testing, actually going through and testing it like a real life environment. And then one thing that I think that's also really important is, like, for example, you study ICT, and one thing that's excellent with that is that you can say, hey, okay, I need to go and study the different parameters and the parameters of my strategy. Like, say, for example, liquidity. How does price react when it hits a major liquidity pool? Like, what does it look like when it rejects versus what does it look like when it goes through and continues? That's a practice that you could do. And
yeah.
I think stuff like that is so overlooked, and it's just incredible if you spend the effort of deliberately practicing those different components of your strategy, like the amount of insight that you get from that. And again, if you're taking notes and then you review those notes and you start to see, okay, this is what my model is. This is what it looks like after all these iterations of my discipline practice, my back trading, my price studying, all of that combined is like, it's crazy the impact that it can have. So it's cool that you've noticed that as well this early in your journey. I mean, it's only been what a couple of years now. Um,
Yeah.
but for me at least it took a lot longer because again back in the day we didn't really use or we didn't have any backtesting tools. That's why we
Yeah.
created FX Replay, right? So it was much more difficult back then.
Yeah. And honestly, I wish I knew about FX Replay while I was learning ICT because everyone loves to moan about ICT, about how his videos, he yaps a lot, he drones on, there's too much information all at once type thing. But honestly, if I had gone through ICT's 2022 mentorship and after each episode I had gone back into random charts and proven to myself, oh, this works, I can see it here, here, and here, I know this works. And this will especially help you kind of drown out that noise from social media, which is saying, oh, ICT's a fraud, all of this. Because if you've got in the back of your mind, this might not work, I don't actually know that this works, you're going to find it really difficult when actually taking executions if you don't have confidence in the concepts that you're actually trading. So I think you need to prove to yourself that they work. I did use the trading view replay thing at the time, but FX replay is so much easier to use than that. So yeah, I think for beginners, even while you're studying and learning the concepts, FX replay can be so useful.
Totally. No, I love to hear that. And I agree 1,000%. It's confidence comes from iteration and confidence comes from data. Like if you can build those things and remind yourself, hey, like this works, then and I'm capable of executing on this in the real live market. It's just it's incredible what it can do for your trading. It really does have an impact. So I'm really grateful to hear that. And I'm grateful that it's helped you in your journey and ultimately, yeah, just that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to make a tool that helps with that. So I guess that's majority of the questions that I had. Claudia, is there anything that you wanted to share? Are there any things, goals that you have coming up that you're excited to kind of push on? Is there anything that you're doing that you want to invite other people to? Please let us know and let everyone know what's going on in your life. And yeah,
I think a major goal for me is getting my first payout, which I think is everyone's major goal, but that is the next step in my trading journey for sure. And I do document all of my trades on my Discord community and when I'm streaming live on YouTube, which I do once a week on a Tuesday usually. During PM sessions. So that's definitely a major goal for me. I'm also trying to dabble a little bit more in investing because I feel like trading and investing come in line, but I mean, the difference in the knowledge that you need for both is crazy to me. I kind of thought, oh, I can trade, like I can just mark a fair value gap out on the weekly chart and I'll know exactly what I'm doing. I've figured out the hard way that that's not quite correct and I might need to learn a little bit more about like fundamentals, macroeconomics. So that's something that I am trying to do in my own time when I can find a little bit of time to do it, now that I'm needing to spend a little bit less time studying because I feel a bit more confident in my model now. So that's what I'm replacing my studying time with at the moment. So that's super exciting. But other than that, I think just continuing documenting my journey on social media, trying to get more girls involved is something that I've loved doing. Obviously, I try to get back to as many DMs as I can as possible, but the ones that I do prioritize are from the girls. I really want more girls to be involved with trading. The more girls in the space there are, the better, honestly. And I think something that I found difficult and I'd love to sort of relieve for a beginner female trader is the difference in men's and women's psychology in trading. And obviously, any psychology books you see on trading are all written by men, and they don't mention the different struggles that women go through. Like in all of the books, they'll talk about the struggles of over risking, whereas for me, it was the complete opposite. I struggled with under risking. I wouldn't risk enough to actually gain much on my funded account, and I think that's why it took me so long to sort of pass it. So there's completely different struggles that men and women go through in trading, all equally as difficult, but completely different ends of the spectrum. So I'd love to get more girls involved and kind of guide them along the way as much as I can. So
I love that. Yeah, and I honestly hope that you do. I think it's life is much better when there's multiple people, multiple genders involved, and you can get different experiences. Because you're right, like a lot of people are not dealing with the over risking and the kind of degeneracy, if you will, side of trading, but more on the other side, like there's a fear of risk, and that's not necessarily a trait for a guy. A guy typically
Yeah.
wants to risk more because they want to achieve things quicker and blah 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 blah. But I think you're right to look at that other side, and I wish you all the best in getting more women involved. And if there's anything that we can do on our side, obviously we would love to help. So yeah, thank you so much, Claudia, for everything. I wish you all the best in your trading, and again, anything that you need from us, we're always here. So appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me on. I've really enjoyed it.
No worries. I'll catch you later. Okay.
See you later.
See ya.